The ultimate Nick Chubb replacement. Discover the top selections that could come in to replace Nick Chubb and save your fantasy football season. Welcome back. My name is Joe Pepe. I run touchdowns, tapouts, and triple plays. And whew, man, we had a major injury in the NFL and fantasy football life where Nick Chubb goes down. Looks like he's done for the year. It's not out entirely, but you watched his leg bend backwards. And what you need to learn right now is who is going to replace Nick Chubb. What do we do with the replacement for Nick Chubb? So we're going to go through four options from least likely to most likely. So this first option here, you got to trade for him. And I do not think this is going to happen. Jonathan Taylor to his Cleveland Browns. Why won't this happen? Why is this least likely? He's the most talented player out there. Wouldn't they want him? Well, yeah, of course they would want him because Jonathan Taylor right now is disgruntled. He's unhappy in Indianapolis and he wants out. The issue is he's on the pup. So you can't use him for the first couple of weeks of the season, which is what Cleveland needs right now. They need to win now. With the way this team is set up, they're not trying to just kind of build for the future. This is a win now style team. And the issue with Jonathan Taylor is that he has an injury. Now he looks okay in some of the clips we've seen, but we don't know. And he's disgruntled and he's unhappy. And Jim Irsay is asking he's asking for a king's ransom in crazy ways. And I don't even know what he would ask for the Cleveland Browns, but it's not worth it. And when I say not worth it, Jonathan Taylor wants a big contract. All the running backs do, but Jonathan Taylor in particular wants a big contract. And you can't do that. Deshaun Watson has the Cleveland Browns bent over a barrel right now, and it's physically impossible for them to probably pay Jonathan Taylor what he wants to be paid because he just cost way too much money. So this whole scenario down here, the Browns trading for Jonathan Taylor, I just don't see it happening. I can't see it going down. So let's move on to something that's a little more likely. Our second player. What if we have a little reunion? What if we're having a nice time and we bring back Kareem Hunt? Is this something I want to do? Me personally, not really. I don't think this saves your fantasy football season. I do think he gets put in a committee with Jerome Ford because it's a younger player with an older, washed up veteran. Because Kareem Hunt had one of the worst years of his life last season where he only averaged 3.8 yards per carry. But if the price is right, the man knows the system. They know he could be a part of the passing game. They know he could play the first couple downs for him. He knows the coach. He knows what they want him to do. Nothing has changed there. He would be a very easy plug and play to mix in with Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong Jr., two speedy backs, to go with a guy who is just a veteran presence. But I don't see it happening. They didn't want to bring him back, even with the rotation of Kareem Hunt going around and looking to get a job elsewhere. They weren't even in the mix. So even with Nick Chubb down, I just don't see it. And we just spoke of Kareem Hunt mixing in with this guy. What if the Browns just stick with Jerome Ford? Here's the thing. Jerome Ford looked pretty capable last night. I mean, if you watch that game, that man is fast. He is speed. He figured out a way to just turn on the afterburners when the whole play fell apart, and he almost scored a touchdown. I really wish he got in that end zone. That would have been a perfect play. But what if they stick with Jerome Ford? What if they stick with Pierre Strong Jr.? I mean, they're both there. They're both fast backs. It would allow for a faster pace in the game. You have to worry a little bit on the first and second downs because you haven't seen it be done yet with this group, and you have to hope that he can hold up for it. But maybe you stick with Jerome Ford. Maybe you put Pierre Strong behind him. Maybe you go out and try to get a Dwayne McBride or somebody who's more of a banger back, but really, really cheap. And I just think that he played well enough. They used him again. They didn't bring back Kareem Hunt because they trusted in Jerome Ford behind Nick Chubb. I think it's an opportunity and an option, to be honest. And it is the second most likely scenario. So here is our most likely scenario. And for me, I think this is a no brainer. The Browns trade for Cam Akers. We know that this man has had times where he has been a good running back. He was the starting running back for the Rams in week 1, and yes, he only gained 29 yards on 22 carries, but it was the San Francisco 49ers. So we jump over that because he finished the last 6 games of last season with 4 touchdowns and 4, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 top 10 RB finishes. The guy's got talent. Like I just said in the very beginning, it's a win now mentality. He's cheap. It won't cost them a ton of money. It's not like they have to bring him in on a new contract. You could trade for him cheap, which is perfect for the Cleveland Browns because they traded all their assets for Deshaun Watson. So, what do you do here? You trade a lower asset for Cam Akers. You pair Cam Akers with Jerome Ford, and you have a nice, cheap running back room with a lot of talent in it. And that's how teams win. Look at how it's worked out. The Eagles did that last year. The Kansas City Chiefs have done that. They obviously are two good teams. You need to build elsewhere, keep the running back room cheap, and have talent in it. And let's be honest, we all knew Nick Chubb was going to move on after this year because of the way his contract worked, and it just they didn't have the money to pay him. So now we're just starting the Nick Chubbless era in Cleveland, unfortunately for the wrong reason. So we really hope that Nick Chubb heals up. We hope he's coming back strong, possibly for another team. But don't forget that your least likely option is Jonathan Taylor. They won't sign Kareem Hunt. They maybe stick with Jerome Ford in the gang, but I really believe that they should go out and they should trade for Cam.